The world around us seems chaotic and unpredictable. Sometimes it feels like we can't control anything. The situations we find ourselves in, our relationships with people, or the circumstances life places us in. In those moments, we lose our sense of security and confidence, and the world around us becomes an enemy rather than an ally. But what if I told you that the external world is not what truly affects our state? The Stoics taught us an important truth. External circumstances are not what determines our happiness or destiny. We often look for sources of our distress in the world, blaming people, events, or even failures. However, the truth is that everything depends on how we react to what happens. Be the master of your mind, not a slave to circumstances, is one of the most liberating and profound principles of Stoic philosophy. But how is this possible? How can we remain calm and confident when the world around us is in turmoil? The answer from Stoicism is simple and difficult at the same time: inner discipline and mindfulness. We cannot control the outside world, but we can control how we perceive and react to its challenges. 1. The nature of human fear and anxiety. We live in a world full of uncertainty. Fear is a natural reaction of our mind to things we cannot control. When we face an important event, like an exam, a meeting, or even a difficult conversation, anxiety and fear often arise. What if I fail? What if things don't go as planned? We forget that fear is not reality. It's our internal response to it. The Stoics taught us that most of what we fear does not really pose a threat to us. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to us that makes us unhappy, but our judgments about what happens." Our fears are nothing more than illusions created by our imagination. We don't fear the events themselves. We fear what they might mean for us. The Stoics don't urge us to ignore our fears or suppress them. On the contrary, they teach us how to use fear as a tool for growth. When you feel afraid, it's a signal your mind is helping you prepare for the future. But fear should not control you. You can choose how to respond to it. Instead of trembling in anxiety, recognize that it's simply a reaction of your mind to the unknown. And if you learn to control your thoughts, you will master your inner world. Second, managing the inner world. Stoicism teaches us an essential lesson. We cannot control external circumstances, but we can control how we respond to them. Everything that happens in our lives is just the outer world. No matter how difficult things may be, no matter how unpleasant the trials, they do not define our life. What truly matters is how we perceive these trials and how we react to them. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Everything that happens in our life matters only insofar as we assign significance to it. For example, when someone insults us, it's not their words that make us unhappy. It's our perception of their words or actions that creates our suffering. In this way, we become the masters of our mind when we learn to let go of what is beyond our control. To become the master of your mind, you need to learn to accept all circumstances as part of your fate, an inevitable flow of events you must work with. The strength of Stoicism lies not in avoiding difficult situations, but in learning to face them calmly, rationally, and with dignity. If external events are the rain that we cannot stop, then our inner world is what we can build in response to that rain. You can stand under the downpour with fear, or you can meet it with the understanding that it cannot destroy your essence. Third, accepting the inevitable. Stoicism teaches us the wisdom of acceptance. We often resist what we cannot change. We struggle with pain, loss, disappointment, which only increases our inner conflict. But should we struggle against what we cannot change? The Stoics argue that true acceptance comes when we stop resisting the inevitable. Acceptance does not mean passivity or inaction. It doesn't mean we should allow life to lead us without making any changes. Acceptance means understanding that there are things we cannot control, and instead of fighting against them, we can change our perception and attitude toward them. Seneca, the great Stoic, said, "It's not what happens to us, but how we react to it that matters." For example, when we face a loss or failure, we should not feel like victims of circumstances. We can acknowledge our pain, but we should not allow it to define our future. Acceptance allows us to live in peace with ourselves, even when the external reality is unfair. Viewing difficulties as opportunities. Many people see difficulties only as pain and suffering. However, the Stoics teach us that difficulties are not punishments, but opportunities for growth and self-improvement. We all face tough times in life, but what if we began to see them not as problems, but as challenges that can help us become stronger? Epictetus taught, difficulties are not things that should crush us, but things that should strengthen us. It's like training for our mind. When you face a difficulty, you can use it as an opportunity to learn patience, persistence, and resilience. The more you face difficulties and overcome them, the stronger and wiser you become. Many great achievements were made by people who were not afraid of difficulties. They embraced challenges and didn't let them break their will. The Stoics believed that by overcoming difficulties, we become masters of our fate. Fifth, practicing self-discipline. Self-discipline is the cornerstone of Stoicism. It is the ability to direct our efforts, thoughts, and emotions toward the right path, regardless of external distractions. Without self-discipline, we are subject to the influence of external circumstances and, as a result, become slaves to our emotions. Marcus Aurelius said, "To be master of your actions, you must first learn to master your desires." Self-discipline begins with realizing that our desires and emotions are not always what we should follow. We can choose how to spend our energy and on what. We can choose how to respond to situations, how to perceive others' words and actions. Self-discipline is not about suppressing our desires or emotions. On the contrary, it is the art of directing our energy in constructive ways, focusing on what truly matters. It is a constant practice of self-reflection, awareness of our internal processes, and control over them. Conclusion. In the end, Stoic philosophy teaches us the most important truth. It's not external circumstances, but our perception of these circumstances that determines our life. We cannot avoid suffering, but we can learn to respond to it with dignity and inner calm. Stoicism teaches us that we are the masters of our minds. And when we learn to control our thoughts and emotions, when we accept what we cannot change and see difficulties as opportunities for growth, we become free. Be the master of your mind, not a slave to circumstances. And remember, true strength lies not in controlling the world around you, but in controlling how you perceive and respond to this world.